As far back as the Greenwich Village folk scene of the 1960s, the vision and talent of singer-songwriter Buffy Sainte-Marie was unmistakable. She's been a fearless creator ever since, making groundbreaking music, art, and speaking truth to power throughout as a leading Indigenous voice that's never shied away from the hard truths. A new documentary about her life and music premiered this year at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, and we're honored that it brings Buffy Sainte-Marie to our airwaves tonight from Ottawa. Hello.
Hi.
We
got a mutual fangirling going on here.
I'm sorry. Okay, I will be professional. I will get into the conversation, but it's so nice to meet you. I love the documentary. It's called Carry It On, but it's not the first documentary made about your life. What makes this one so special?
Well, Joan Prouse's documentary, Buffy Sainte-Marie, A Multimedia Life, was really very lovely. But in any documentary, there's only so much time. And so when Madison Thomas, who's a young filmmaker, she's half Indigenous and half other stuff. She's from Manitoba. She's just a brilliant filmmaker. And she and our writer, Andrea Warner, who wrote the biography about me, they had certain ideas. And they, of course, they weren't trying to reference Joan's documentary. They wanted to make it different, and they were able to cover some different things that I've done, and a little bit more time. And times have changed since the first documentary that was made on me. So all of those things. And I've had kind of a big life also. I'm 81, so I've been around for a long time. So there was a lot to choose from. And I'm sure glad that I wasn't the one who decided what was going to go in and what was going to get left out, because it's hard.
81 years young. I want to give the viewers a little peek with this documentary. It starts with a revelation by you that many viewers might find quite shocking. We'll roll the clip and then we'll come back and chat some more.
Okay.
As a child, I was told two things that kind of should have ruined me. And the two things are, you can't be a musician. You can't read music. You cannot tell me I can't be a musician just because you don't recognize natural music. And the other thing that I was told is you can't be an Indian. There aren't any more. Oh, there may be a few in Arizona, but no, there aren't any around here.
Those are pretty damning words to hear as an adult, but to hear that at a young age, what kind of impact did that have on you?
Well, as I said in the film, it should have ruined me, but it didn't, because it just made me laugh, because I'd go to school and I wasn't allowed to be in band or chorus or anything, because I couldn't read music. I since found out as an adult I'm actually dyslexic in music, the same way Einstein was dyslexic in math. So if you really love it, you find another way. And that's kind of made a positive impact on me, because when they would tell me in school, you can't be in band and you can't be a musician, I just laughed, because I'd go home and I'd play fake Tchaikovsky and anything I heard on the radio just by ear. And that's so different. And when they told me that I couldn't be an Indian, I must be mistaken, I mean, I knew better. I knew better.
How did you know better? How did you know better? Because you were adopted.
Because my mom was part Mi'kmaq. And they knew that I wasn't, they knew that I was Indigenous. They just didn't know what the details were, and I'll probably never know. And people never think about it, but adopted children, we don't have a real birth certificate. They make something up and then it gets sealed by the court. So I mean, we don't even get to have a horoscope. We don't know when our real birthday is. So that was kind of the position I was in. I was in a position of people coming from a European education and cultural background who had not been informed. They thought that you learned music from music teachers and writing. No, music existed before all of that. And Indigenous people, the world at large, especially in education, they didn't know. The teachers themselves didn't know anything about Indigenous people. So it just kind of got left out. But I knew it was real.
You said something that I just want to follow up on. I'm kind of jumping ahead in your life, but you are a mother, you became a mother. And I only asked this question because my husband is adopted. And when we had children, it anchored him in a way. So when you said that, you didn't know where you came from, what was the impact like that for you when you became a mother and you were connected to this one person in a way that can't be taken away or broken?
Well, it was very beautiful, but I didn't really know what to do with the Indigenous issue. I didn't know what to tell him, except that his dad is Mdewakanton Sioux, Dakota. And my son, whose name is Dakota, is quite close to his dad. But I was more close to the Paikin family, who took me in my late teens, early 20s. They took me in, and it's not like going to the adoption agency or the shelter and adopting a puppy or a new baby. It's not formalized like that. It's Cree adoption, as Solomon Ratt kindly points out in the documentary. Cree adoption, it's almost like marriage, it's really, you become a part of the family and that's it. You don't need to have papers and stuff. Everybody knows that you're a part of the family. And in my particular case, with the Paikin family, they had lost 2 daughters. And it's their tradition, our tradition, that if that happens to you, you always save a place in your heart to be filled by someone else. And so my sister Brenda was adopted into that family, who already had 3 children. And I was adopted into that family. So it's quite a lovely thing. And it was really healing to me. So when my son was born, he had his own dad, who is Mdewakanton, Dakota. And now he had not only my mom, who raised me part Mi'kmaq, but didn't know anything about it, but also the Paipans, who did know a lot about it.
So let's go back a little bit, back to the 1960s. You're in the folk music scene of Greenwich Village, where Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Robbie Robertson were all establishing their careers. Was the village a welcoming space for aspiring folk singers, or was it more of a case of survival of the fittest?
Oh, a little bit of both, I think. It certainly was a welcoming place for folk music, but most everybody was singing Woody Guthrie and the American Songbook. This land is your land, this land is my land. How do you think that affected me?
How did it affect you?
This land used to be my land.
How did it affect you?
This land used to be my land, but it isn't anymore. So the American Songbook wasn't my thing. And actually, I had graduated with a degree from the University of Massachusetts in Oriental Philosophy and Religion, and I had a teacher's degree. So I thought I was going to India to continue my studies, but instead I went to Greenwich Village and got famous as what they were calling a folk singer, because that's what they were marketing, the word folk singer. Now, I was a songwriter and I didn't know folk songs, but I loved them. And for me, it was a wonderful example to be around people who actually were singing songs that were 400 years old. Because, oh boy, I mean, you can't argue with Greensleeves, I mean, there are great songs if they last. And I wanted to write songs about the human condition. So I fit very well into that folk music genre, even though I wasn't singing mostly folk songs. However, for us who were actually there, I mean, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Judy Collins, these were people who came from mainstream families, business families, kinda, Bob Dylan's dad had a store and et cetera. I didn't have any of that. And they were highly, very well protected and highly represented by people like Albert Grossman and, big time shark managers who would just push everybody else out of the way. I mean, I think that Phil Oakes has never gotten his due, and Tom Paxson has never gotten his due, or Len Chandler. There were a lot of us who, we just got elbowed out in order that everybody else could be in the photo ops, and they got forgotten. I didn't get forgotten because I kept going, and because even though I was blacklisted in the US, I had a big career in the rest of the world. I mean, I was in Hong Kong and Australia and all over Canada and Europe. So I didn't really feel the impact of having either been shoved out of the way by people's managers and not welcomed by other artists, or impacted by the blacklisting that was going on in secret. And I didn't know anything about that.
Well, that leads me to my next question, because during the 1960s, you were one of the first public figures to use the word genocide to describe the treatment of Indigenous people in North America. In fact, the Johnson and Nixon administration discouraged, I think the wording in the documentary was, they strongly urged radio stations from playing your songs because of this. How did you stay motivated and not succumb to frustration and anger?
Well, I wish I had a real helpful answer for somebody else who might go through this, but they don't tell you. I didn't know it. It's not as though I outsmarted them. I didn't know it. They don't tell you. It's all done in secret, and it's not done by the US government. When they say the Johnson administration, Democrats, and the Nixon administration, Republicans, it's not as though they pass an act of Congress blacklisting your music, which would be legal. It's all done under the table. A couple of guys go in the back room, they make nasty phone calls and send out letters to the media, and that artist is not played anymore. And none of us knew that was going on. It was called COINTELPRO. Businessmen who sponsored these presidents were worried about the Indigenous refusal to surrender even more land to oil and greed and resource extraction. I mean, we were really sticking up for Mother Earth and humanity in general. And what we were opposing was, federal tanks and big banks and heavy politicians and the FBI, and nobody knew about it. COINTELPRO was a real thing.
Even in the documentary, we find out that, you lost friends during that movement. And in the process of them trying to silence your music, something else remarkable happened in the 1970s. You were the first recurring Indigenous person to guest star on Sesame Street. We have a picture of you with Grover, one of my faves. But you were also the first woman to nurse a baby on mainstream national television. How significant was your presence on that show in changing people's perspectives?
I'm told it was very significant. At the time, they wanted me to come on Sesame Street like Stevie Wonder and everybody else and say the alphabet or count from 1 to 10. And I didn't have time for that. I was busy doing other things that keep me busy. So I said, have you ever done any Native American programming? And they said, no. And they called me right back. And they wanted to do it, but it was my idea. You cannot wait for other people to invite you into something that you already know can be great. If you've got the goods, you have to have the balls to stand up and say so.
But how did you know at that
time?
But how did you know at that time? Because you're not seeing anyone that looks, we're having these conversations right now about the importance of representation. But this wasn't the only time that you did this. Like, you did it for another television show. You were invited and you said, well, if I come on the show, then you have to bring all these Indigenous people. You have to give these people opportunities. But how did you have that voice during that time?
Oh, I was real famous. And what you're referring to, it was The Virginian, which was the first ever 2-hour movie series for television. And they wanted me to take a starring role. And of course, it wasn't very good. So I said, oh, you got to make it better. They said, okay, we will. But the other thing I said was, if you want me to be on it, I want all of the Indigenous parts to be played by Indigenous people. And they said, oh, no. That's too much. Besides, we've got Jews, we've got Italians, we've got Koreans, we've got Filipinos, and our makeup people can turn a dog into a cat. And I said, no, you're not getting it. It's more important and more delicious than just fooling white people. It really can be wonderful. Can you imagine the Sopranos if there were no Italians in it? The Sopranos was great because all the writers, everybody involved understood the culture and brought that additional cultural richness. So this is not a matter of saying identity politics, get out of our way. We're going to play all. It's not that. No, we're trying to improve the movie industry. We're trying to improve the world by the reality of our presence. And we can do that. And I had the backup at the time. We didn't get just any old Indian on the street. No, Jay Silverheels, who played Tonto and who's from Six Nations, and Lois Red Elk, who's from Montana, they were running the Indian Actors Workshop, and I knew it. So I didn't just go in there bragging and mouthing off. I knew that we could fill those roles and not only give other Indigenous people a chance to have a job, but also to make the movie better, which was the point.
But to go back to Sesame Street for a moment, you were the first woman to breastfeed on television. I mean, right now, that seems to be kind of even controversial. But back then, on Sesame Street, and your family was also on Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And regarding nursing on television, I was nursing my baby anyway, just off the set. And so I asked them, they were very sweet and wonderful people and genuinely child and family friendly. So I said, why don't we nurse Cody on TV? And it was so cute the way they did it, Big Bird's in his nest and he's looking over and he's saying, what you doing, Buffy? And I said, I'm feeding the baby. And he said, that's a funny way to feed a baby. And it continues from there. So Sesame Street, not only in accepting my idea of have you ever done any Native American programming? they were open to it, and breastfeeding as well. They were open to it, and it was not controversial then. But it is now for some reason, and I don't get it. Why are they sexualizing it now? I mean, it's feeding your baby, and it's as cuddly as kissing. It's just the sweetest and most natural thing in the world.
I co-signed. When I was breastfeeding my children, I would have to sneak into the bathroom, the dirty bathroom, to do it because I felt so self-conscious. But anyway, I want to draw our conversation to Canada because you were born here, but you've spent most of your life living outside of it. From your vantage point, are things moving in the right direction here in terms of reconciliation?
From my vantage point, yes. Truth and reconciliation is step 1 and step 2. And I see a lot of people moving on from there. Step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we don't do that, it's just going to sit here. But I see a lot of people, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, moving forward on that. And we're doing it in different ways. Some of us are lawyers, some of us are business people, some of us are artists or musicians or community people or something. But no, we have been ready for a long time to make things better. And what has changed is not so much us, as now there's an audience for the good work that we've been trying to do all this time. I mean, truth and reconciliation, yes, but the residential schools, how horrifying, But I think that, I think Canada is moving in the right direction. I'm not talking about government or any province government specifically. I'm talking about the people ourselves. I see a lot of people understanding, and that in itself is a big step forward. And we all got to move forward in making the world better, and this is just one way to do it.
Well, prior to the Pope's recent apology to Indigenous people for abuses in the country's church-run residential schools, you were calling for him to rescind the doctrine of discovery. He didn't. What was your reaction to that?
Oh, that's not quite right. It's almost right. No, the church in I love Pope Francis. I think he's great. He has explained that the church has already abandoned it. They're not doing that anymore. So it's not right that us guys be just yelling at him, you got to get rid of it. They already, in their perspective, they've already gotten rid of it. What I want him to do is to lead the world's nations in whose laws the doctrine of discovery is embedded. I mean, don't tell me that we're talking about a doctrine that was written in the 15th century. Ruth Bader Ginsburg used it against the Oneidas in 2005. It's still embedded in Canadian law, and it's still affecting us. It's a burden that no other people in the world, except Indigenous people who were colonized by Europe, have to suffer. So the doctrine of discovery says that if explorers setting out from Europe coming upon inhabited lands, unless they're Christian, you're supposed to enslave them and turn their property over to us, the European Church. And it's just horrifying. I mean, who would stick up for slavery today? And yet it's embedded in the laws throughout South America, throughout Central America, every state in the US, throughout Canada, throughout Australia, in Indonesia, even in Scandinavia, wherever it went, it still exists. So I want the church to take real leadership. Talk about being on God's side and doing God's work. I want the church to lead the nations of the world in understanding that we must do away with the doctrine of discovery.
I want to close off our conversation. We have about 5 minutes left. I want to bring it back to songwriting. And you're known for your music. You're known for your activism. But I think it's kind of interesting that two of your biggest songs are actually love songs. And you're probably among a very small group of artists to refuse to have your song rights bought out by Elvis Presley. Can you tell us that story?
Oh gosh, I'm glad we have a few minutes because it's kind of a long story. I had given away the rights to Universal Soldier for $1. That's how green I was. The Highwaymen were coming off a huge hit, Michael Row the Boat Ashore, and wanted to put Universal Soldier as the final song for their album that was going to come out next week. So they said, who's the publisher? And I said, what's that? And some guy that my manager knew named Elmer Jared Gordon said, oh, I'll help you. I'm a publisher. You can give me the rights for Universal Soldier for $1. And I signed. Okay, so many years ahead, I had already written Until It's Time for You to Go. Oh, Chet Atkins had recorded it. Sonny and Cher had recorded it. Bobby Darin had recorded it. And now I got a phone call while I was in Nashville from this person that I knew, and he was working for Elvis Presley. He said, Buffy, Elvis just recorded your song, and we're going to have some of that publishing money, honey. And I just laughed and I said, no. It wasn't Elvis. It wasn't Elvis that I was turning down. It was Elvis's business people, and that's what they did. They were about money and exploitation in this case. So I just said no, and they said, okay, then he's not going to record it. And I said, oh gosh, I'm so sad. So then he recorded it 9 times. He put it in his stage show. He put it in movies, because I've come to find out that it was his love song with his wife Priscilla, Until It's Time for You to Go was. So I said no, not just because I had made that mistake and because, oh, I don't want to share the money. I was also thinking about other songwriters. And it's just not fair for the business people to come in and loot the only thing that songwriters have going for us. So I was kind of sticking up for other songwriters too.
Well, you won an Oscar for another love song that you wrote. What is it, do you think, about songwriting that you're able to capture those feelings of love? Because in the documentary, you said, I'm glad that I was the one that wrote that song.
Yeah, that was Until It's Time for You to Go. But Up Where We Belong was
Up Where You Belong, yeah.
Yeah, Up Where We Belong. Jack Nietzsche, who was the late Jack Nietzsche, who was just a genius film composer. He couldn't come up with a song for the movie that he was scoring, An Officer and a Gentleman. He called me up and asked me if I had anything. And he and a friend of his came over, and I played them, da 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 da. I played them the whole thing, time goes by, da 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 da, and the hook. And then he wrote a little introduction for it. Will Jennings actually wrote the words, and it all turned into an Academy Award-winning song. And so you just never know, some of it's talent, some of it's luck, some of it's business, some of it's who you know, and some of it just happens to be what time it is today. Life can be spontaneous, yeah, if you let it.
When you look back at your career, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Not really.
No regrets?
I always tell up and coming songwriters to take a business course and to understand the business side of show business, because so long as you're only the show, somebody else is going to take complete control of the business, and they're not always your friend. So there are wonderful people who can help you with your career, but not everybody is that way. No, I don't think I would have done things differently, because when things went south for me, in the first place, I never expected to last anyway. I just thought I was going to be there for a few months and have one record. But what I did when things were not happening for me was everything else. That was when I could go home and write songs. I could make paintings. I could go to a dance class. I could garden. I could travel. I could go to the reserve and just hang out. I could go 30 degrees north of the Arctic Circle and spend time with the Samis and go dog sledding and live in a teepee with them. And so nobody should ever feel sorry for me that I got my career ditched in certain ways from time to time. I made very good use of the rest of the time.
Well, I'm going to sneak in a question. I know the producer just told me to wrap, but it's not every day that you get to speak to Buffy Sainte-Marie, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to. I get the sense that education is very important to you. What do you hope your legacy to be?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think what it says in the documentary, they quoted a song called Jeremiah that says, "Some will tell you what you really want ain't on the menu. Don't believe that. Cook it up yourself, and then prepare to serve them." And that's kind of what I wish people would get out of my life, my songs, the documentaries or the biographies that have been written about me. I mean, really, all of us who have grown up in what we call Western education, it's only this much. That's only what certain guys want you to know about the world. There's so much more to the world than that. But it's up to you to go and discover it in your own unique way. And then once you do, tell the world. That's when you serve them. That's when you serve them. And that's really the fun part, is to see somebody else take your little gift and maximize it beyond your wildest dreams. It's a real thrill.
It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. I just noticed that your nails are blue, and I noticed that it's not that I'm stalking you or anything, but I noticed that you always seem to have blue manicure. Is there anything behind that, or is it just your favorite color?
I just like the color. Every
Yeah.
time I go to my manicurist, we discuss another color. No, I just like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
well, twinsies.
See,
See, I've got
you
blue.
too?
Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
You.
ma'am.
All the best.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye.
Aloha.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.